of information to tell you, and I also have some information to talk to you about myself before we actually begin. Since this is about relationship wealth, and I want you to understand that we all have the same issues regardless of who we are. My personal story, for those of you who may not be aware of it, of course, goes back way to my childhood, when my parents used to fight all of the time, even in front of me and my sister, and they didn't get along very well. And in fact, now that I think about it years and years later, it's probably that they never should have been together in the first place because their frequencies really didn't match. And even to this very day, even though they're old and not very well, they still don't get along too well. So when you're unhappy in the beginning and you don't fix it, you stay unhappy a very long time. And unfortunately, when children watch that of their parents and grandparents not getting along and arguing, that imprints them and makes a pattern that stays with them through their life unless they change it. And as an added bonus or dynamics to the whole mix of my childhood, my grandmother used to live with us for the warmer months, and in the colder months she would go down to Florida. And she would always brainwash me and talk against my father and my mother. She was my mother's mother. And she would interfere with them also, and that wasn't a good thing because my mother allowed it, and my father didn't like it, so that made things even worse. And so as I grew up, I had a hard time in relationships because to me, arguing and not being very nice to each other was a normal thing, and so I kind of shied away from relationships because I thought they were not good for people. And that showed in my first marriage. My first wife and I always would be fighting, again, even in front of the children, and it wasn't a good thing for them. And when we finally decided to get divorced, that was very difficult because then I thought, well, I guess I'll always be alone. I'll never have anybody again who would want me after all of that. The typical things that go through a person's head when they are facing being alone. But one thing that I did learn from that marriage, and that is, and it sounds funny, but it's true, is that it's better to be alone than to wish you were alone. Sometimes really all you need is yourself. Well, actually, that's all you ever need is yourself because, as I always say, everything you ever need inside is already inside of you, and it's just a question of with whom you choose to share it. And because of that breakup and the hard life that I had in the beginning, I had a lot of issues with alcoholism. I was suicidal. I had legal problems, as you all have read about. And during my separation from my first wife, a friend told me about someone I should call because she had read an article that this person wrote, and she thought we would be very good friends. And I thought, well, I don't want to insult this person who asked me to call, and yet I really don't feel like calling because I'm, really technically still married to somebody else. So I called at a time I thought would be, that person wouldn't be home, and I left a message. But that person called me back, and we spoke for hours and hours and realized we had a lot in common, even though we were both married to other people. And of course, that person was Janet, and the rest is history, as you well know. So the point of that story is, no matter how dire things may look in a relationship, no matter how bad things may be in your mind and your emotions, it can all change in a moment. It just takes one little infusion of energy, one little change in the pattern, and everything is different, and the whole future changes. So I want you to keep that in mind as we go through some of these questions that we have tonight. And we do have a lot of questions. So many of you wrote in, and I'm very happy to see that you all sent in questions. And there are some of them pretty good questions. Some of them are long, some of them are short, And in the allotted time that we have, I will do my very best to get through as many of them as possible in the most thorough way. Before I actually get to that, let me give you the 7 steps um, for relationships. And these are the 7 steps for finding your perfect relationship. Now, step number 1 is an obvious one, and that is recognize that you want a relationship. Because, not everybody should be in a relationship, and not everyone needs a relationship, and it's not the point of every single lifetime and incarnation to have a relationship. So, really, society and religion and your parents and friends tell you what you should have, but the bottom line is you are the one that needs to recognize that you want a relationship. So, that's step number 1, to say, yeah, I really do want to have a relationship. Step 2 is realize all you ever need is within you, and all you have to do is share it with others. And that's what I mentioned earlier. You are a complete unit. You do not need anybody else to complete you in any way. So if you're going to go into a relationship with the idea of feeling completed or being, a total couple and acting as one, well, that's okay, but that's not the reason for a relationship, because you are already a totality. You do not need anything or anyone to complete you. So that's step number 2. Realize all you ever need is within you, and all you have to do is share it with others. Step number 3, you have heard me talk about before. That is the golden altar release work. And why that's so important is because of what I mentioned about my own experience as a child, all that imprinting of mind patterns that are so harsh and negative that foster low self-worth and abandonment issues, etc. You need to get rid of the patterns within you that create that cycle. And those patterns are labeled by a person. Could be mother, father, uncle, aunt, sister, brother. It could be so many people from your childhood that have labels on your mind patterns, and they need to be released before you can really have a clean slate. So yes, the golden altar is step number 3. Step number 4, a very important one, doing the child within. Because all of us have, at some point, had a trauma emotionally in our childhood with some other person in a relationship, mother, father, what have you, that has emotionally blocked us and actually made us stuck in a particular age. So that you could be 40, 50, 60 years old, and there's a 4-year-old in you who's whining and crying and just wants what they want and reacts like a 4-year-old. So when you're trying to have an adult relationship, here's this 4-year-old saying, well, I want this and you need to do that, and all that other stuff. So step number 4 is do the child within, grow him or her up to an adult status as you are now, so that you can have an adult relationship with those with whom you choose. Step number 5 is oversoul communication. And that's also extremely important, keeping that silver infinity over the crown chakra so that you can send up everything into it, have it recycled, filtered, changed in a beneficial way, and then sent back down to you in a way that you can receive. Oversoul communication should be 24/7 in your life. Step number 6, you've heard me say this a billion times, deprogramming. Everybody on the earth, I don't care who you are, where you live, how old you are, every human being on this planet has some form of programming in them. And all programs are designed to keep people apart, breaking up families, keeping you depressed and alone. Because a weakened, isolated person is easy to control. And so you must, in step number 6, do your deprogramming. That's very, very important. And step 7, culmination to the first 6, you have to do a relationship affirmation. And what that will do will be to enforce all the previous 6 steps that you've just done so that you can maintain the positive and proper mind pattern to maintain a very positive relationship. And affirmations, as I have always said, should be positive in the present tense, no negative words in them, and they should be uniquely tailored to you. So, for example, a general relationship affirmation could be, I now have and accept an unconditionally loving relationship. For example, another one could be, I now have the most perfect interaction with others of a positive nature. And you can devise your own. There is no set one that is the definitive one. It has to be one that comes from you. Go to your oversoul, perhaps, and talk to oversoul about what's your best possible affirmation and use it. But it should always start with, I now have and accept. And whatever you put in after that will be related to the relationship you want to have. So let me review again, very quickly, the 7 steps to having a perfect relationship. Number 1, recognize you want a relationship. Number 2, realize all you ever need is already within you, and all you have to do is share it with others with whom you choose. Step number 3, do the golden altar release work. Step number 4, do the child within, grow it up. Step number 5, your oversoul communication every single day. Step number 6, deprogramming, removing that program that blocks you from having good relationships. And step number 7, do a relationship affirmation that you create which is unique to you and beneficial. So I'll repeat those again towards the end of this teleconference, but I want to get to the questions. So first question, and of course we're not going to name names or anything like that. We're just going to go right to the question. And this one says, what can I do to overcome a pattern of emotional and physical abuse within my relationships with men? What type of release work can I do to get rid of such a destructive pattern that causes me a great deal of unhappiness in the relationship department? And my answer to that is, you need to go back to the time when all of this abuse began and was imprinted with you as far as the pattern is concerned. Ask yourself this question: who physically abused you as a child and imprinted you so that you have this pattern of attracting abusive people with a destructive pattern? If you're not sure where this is in your lifetime, hold that abuse issue in your mind and do the green spiral staircase on this. And then when you determine who was the person, or it could be more than one person that imprinted you, do the golden altar and release that person, and then do the child within from the time period that this began and grow yourself up. So that is a very positive way to take care of abusive situations. And of course, bottom line is physically remove yourself from that situation. If you're being physically abused, you need to remove yourself from the situation so that you don't get hurt. Next question I have here. It's a bit of a long and maybe confusing question, so I'll do the best I can. And this person has added up their numbers for matrimony, and using the birth date of 11 as their life path number, and they get to a 29 as a likely matrimonial age, but now they have surpassed it, and now they are at the age, I believe according to this paragraph, as they're 33, and so they're on their way to making substantial progress, they said, on this front, but they want to know Is someone in sight now? What is on the course, the horizon? And so in order to attract the right person, you need to fix yourself. You had the opportunity at 29, and it was there. That was your double new beginning frequency. And had you completed your release work and deprogramming at that time, you could have attracted a person into your life. So what are you doing now, this person who wrote in? Your frequency is at a point where you could be attracting someone before your next birthday. So you need to do your oversoul work and use your relationship templates, and maybe even get a personal archetype template for relationships that will boost and enhance the energy before your next birthday energy switches and you go into a different cycle. And so, just because you are in a double new beginning frequency, or because the frequency showed that a person was coming in, doesn't necessarily mean that's going to happen. It means it's the potential for that to happen, but you have to lay the groundwork to make it happen. And if you haven't changed your mind pattern sufficiently, then things are going to remain stagnant for you. Next question. I am planning on ordering a geographic locator scan. Will I more than likely meet an ideal mate in the area that most resonates with my energy? And my answer is absolutely. When you are in a matching frequency, you attract everything easily. Finances, jobs, even your mate. So yes, if you are in the right place, if your frequency matches where you live, then everything, including your partner, will come very easily to you. Whatever. Okay, here's another question here. And actually, it's a couple of parts. Let me see if I can get this in order. Person writes, I remember you stating that in some instances, your soulmate will not incarnate in the same reality with you. Is it possible to attain that kind of deep connection to another person who is not your soulmate or in your oversoul? And the answer is, I think there was a little misunderstanding there, because you always incarnate with soulmates. It's kind of like a forest of trees that grows all together at the same place. What this person may be talking about is their twin soul or their twin flame, which is a much closer union. For example, a twin soul might be two trees growing out of the same root system, and the twin flame are the branches on one of those trees, so close together. So that's what the person's talking about. And yes, you can always find a match if you prepare yourself energetically, and it doesn't matter if your twin flame and twin soul are not in the same reality with you. You can find a soulmate who is very good for you to marry and be with. So yes, it's very possible. Next part of this question is, could you even have a dislike for your soulmate upon meeting them? Taking these same questions further, can you have persons who dislike you, who are of your own oversoul? And the answer to both is yes. Of course you can dislike anybody. You could even dislike your twin flame. You might be attracted to them very strongly and connected energetically, but you may not like them as a person, or they may not like you. So yes, it goes by frequency, because even though someone might be your twin soul or your twin flame, they have had their own distinctive mind patterns and experiences that make them a bit different from you. So even though there's a strong attraction in a lot of ways, you just may not like each other, and that can happen, absolutely. Next question here. How do you recognize and be sure that the current relationship is the one that is expected to be as the good or best? Well, first there should be a knowing. In other words, if you're in a relationship that is the one, the best, there's no doubt or confusion. You just know it. If there's a doubt or confusion, it's probably not the best, but it might be an okay one to be in. So you have to look at the frequency and the connections. I suggest maybe getting a compatibility scan, which will help you to decide. And also ask yourself, have you done your energy work? Have you done your deprogramming? You must lay the groundwork and be prepared. It's not just going to fall out of the sky in front of you, okay? Next question here. Next, next question here. The person writes, how do you know I'm dealing with this very issue? I try to tell myself I don't need anyone, but the truth is I'm lonely. I would love to be in love again and find that someone special to share my life. I'm 62 years old and have never had a really successful relationship. My question is, how do I know if a person is truly right for me, and can I trust to invest my efforts in this, as I've always been a giver and haven't received in like form? Do I give too much? Well, this goes back again to the low self-worth issues, self-sabotage, and self-punishment. Feeling subconsciously that you don't deserve a good relationship. It again reflects from the childhood abandonment and emotional isolation issues. I would ask this person who's a female, um, were there issues with father that need to be removed? I suggest the reading in Hyperspace Helper, the Golden Altar, the Child Within, Oversoul Communication. These will remove the mind patterns that cause the bad relationships, and then the right person will come in. There'll be a knowing so that you will just know it. And according to the information this person sent me, their birth year and date, etc., this birthday is the end of the cycle for you. And so things will be changing. And with your birthday of 2012, you're in a double new beginning frequency. So that means it's very likely that your mate will come in 2012 or 2013. So get yourself ready by removing those mind patterns that hold you back. Okay, here's a bit of a long, uh, well, it's a kind of a story and then a question. So I'll kind of go through the story because you need to know in order to understand the question. Um, I recently got involved with someone who I like a lot, and I know that he liked me a lot as well. I thought we were very compatible, and I thought everything was fun and going great on all levels, physically, intellectually, emotionally. All of a sudden, his interest in me stopped. I'm not sure what it was, as he would not say. I'm not someone who suffocates another person in a relationship, nor did I say or do anything that I thought would sabotage the relationship. So it left me a little confused as to why he stopped communicating with me. I just decided to let it go since I'm moving away from California soon. But my question is there a technique I can do to protect from a partner's programming activation, or do they need to do the deprogramming themselves? I'm not sure this person would be open to deprogramming. This has happened in the past as well, where either all of a sudden I lose interest in someone or the other loses interest in me for no real apparent reason. This is common not only for me, but I have seen that it is also common for a lot of other people I know, mostly who are gay. Maybe it is the fear of commitment, but I wasn't asking him for any kind of commitment, so I feel maybe it was a programming activation. I have started using the relationship archetype card, and I see some shifts happening, mostly in the sense that I don't desire meaningless one night stands anymore. I feel that I am connecting more on a deeper level with people than I'm getting involved with. Well, this person does show a great understanding of the situation, and very sensitive person. And so here I would say that it is easy for a programmed person to get triggered by another activated program person, especially when both are monarch programs. No, we cannot work on the other person's programming issues or deprogramming, but we can use brown merger, white winged lion frequency, white winged dragon frequency, ultimate protection, and you can even put a brown wall of energy between you and the other person when you see that they are activated or triggered in some way to prevent the energy from connecting to you. Doing your own deep deprogramming will lessen the effects and will also change the attraction of these people to you. So, quite honestly, you have to look at why are you attracting people like that. It's kind of a self-defeating program where you're purposely bringing someone into your life who on some level will not stay. And that's part of your abandonment and low self-worth issue. So really, here we go, golden altar again, child within and deprogramming. That's the recipe for this person to do. And anyway, it's good you're leaving California. Next question. After being in a bumpy 7-year relationship where cheating has taken place, how do you begin to earn back trust? The love is there, but trust and honesty play a huge part in a successful relationship. And after being together with my fiance for so long, things begin to get old and we lose interest in each other. Is there a solution? Well, that's two very good questions. And so the first question I'm going to answer with a question, and that is, do you love your partner? And the answer should come quickly, yes or no. You know, if you think about it, the answer is no. But if you do love your partner, if so, do you release work on her and your childhood influences on the females who you felt were not treating you honestly and who maybe did not give their attention to you the way you wanted it? You can only trust others if you can be trusted. So when there are trust issues, when someone has done something to you, look within yourself and see, okay, where have I not been trusting to myself? Where have I not been honest to myself in any way? And then I projected that out and attracted someone who has deceived me. So look at that one. And as far as the interest is concerned, well, that's very common in relationships that go on for a while. So you need to spice things up. Go somewhere different or romantic. Take a little vacation for a weekend somewhere. Even if it's just to a nice restaurant for an evening, somewhere you've never been before. Change your routine. Change the way you look. Change your clothes. Make it different. You know, you can even do role playing. I know where there are couples that, you know, the female goes to a bar, and then the guy walks in and makes believe he's picking her up, and then they go home together. They're going home together anyway. But it makes it kind of exciting, and other people are watching, and it makes it look interesting. So there's all kinds of things you can do to spice things up. But then again, you must ask yourself, do I want to? Do I want to be with this person? Do I love this person? That's the question you need to be asking first. Next question, and this is from a male person. I want to attract a male partner into my life, preferably a friend with benefits, but I'm still afraid of society being critical and judgmental. What can I do to cope with these fears? Well, I have a lot of gay clients out there, both male and female, and you have to look at what you just said because you use the word afraid. That's fear. And that is what you need to release because when you are afraid, you project that out and you will attract people who will make you afraid. So who cares what other people think? You know what? They're not in your head. Only you are. It only matters what you think. So you must do what's right for yourself. Otherwise, you become a slave and a victim, and that's not what this work is about. Look at where you were criticized as a child. Who made you afraid as a child, and who did you try to live up to as far as expectations? Release those people who imprinted you with that fear and with that criticism um, and judgmental situation. Get rid of those imprints from you, and then you won't have to worry or think about what other people have in their minds. Who cares? You know what? They're not paying your bills. They have nothing to say about your life. That's my opinion on that one. Okay, next question. I am having a problem with communication within our relationship. I could be joking or being facetious, and he takes it in a way I didn't truly mean. I become afraid that anything I say will escalate into an argument, so I just stop talking. We have never had an argument. Now, there is a situation in this household that is affecting him badly and in turn affecting us. I feel like I could help him, but I'm so afraid he will react as if I'm attacking him. What can I say? Well, here is a situation where you need to speak up for yourself in a tactful and honest way. And remember, when you speak tactfully and honestly, and the other person doesn't like it, that's their problem. You have to clear up what is within you. Again, tactful and honest. And remember, you wrote here, we have never had an argument. So what does that mean? People who do argue, I mean, I'm not talking, knockout, drag down fights. I'm talking about people who argue, which is normal. That shows there's some passion there. When there's no passion, you're just roommates, bopping around, saying hello to each other in the hallway. That's it. So, people who live together and love together and have a life together, they're going to argue from time to time. That's normal. It's just like, electricity builds up and has to be released. That's okay. So look at why you don't argue. You're clamming up in there. So you need to communicate properly. It might help you to actually have a third-party intermediary who is not biased with either one of you. You don't want to have anyone who's biased. That's why therapists or counselors are good as long as they know what they're doing because they're not biased. They don't know who you are and they don't care who you are. Not a good idea to go to a friend or a relative because they are biased, okay? So go to a neutral third party if that's a consideration and you both agree. And you must communicate or your energy will become dense and you could become ill. So you know what? Speak up tactfully. If he doesn't like it and he starts feeling attacked, that's his stuff that he needs to look at. You need to clear the air. And, remember the color codes, ice blue for communication and maroon for courage. So use those two colors around you when you're going to have that kind of a conversation. Now, here's a very, very interesting story and question, which I'm going to read to you, which is very interesting. Here's what he says. I've been married for over 25 years. She is beautiful, intelligent, talented, and a kind person. I feel she's my soulmate. We love each other. Now here's my problem. I've been working away from home for over 5 years and go home on the weekends. I am very lonely during the week, and now my next assignment will keep me far enough so that I can't come home on the weekends. So I may get home only once a month. I have a young woman who wants to have a relationship with me. She is beautiful too, and 26 years younger than me. She does not like younger men, and she does not like being alone either. She wants someone to sleep with and to hang out with. I'll be leaving the state for 2 years. Should I take her with me? She's graduating from college with no job and no place to live. Would I be a bad person if I pursue this, or should I let it go? Well, let me just tell you right now, if you were in front of me now, I'd be shaking you by your shoulders, hanging you upside down, and banging your head against the wall. What is wrong with you? You've been married for 25 years. You said she's beautiful and talented, intelligent, kind person. What's wrong with you? Okay? That is a ridiculous question. You want to go with a girl who's young enough to be your child. That's not right. First of all, I think both of you have very deep issues. She, the girl, needs a daddy, not a lover. And you need to look at why you want to be with a girl who's so young. I'm sure you have clothing older than she is. If you really love your wife, and you say that you do, this would not even be a consideration. So obviously, there's very many issues in your marriage. I don't care if you're away for 10 years and you never had, sex again until you get home again. If you love your wife and she's beautiful and talented and you love her all that, it wouldn't make a difference to you. So wake up and smell the coffee, mister, because I'm sorry, you know the answer to this one. Next question. Okay, this one can be a little confusing, so I'll try to be easy with it here. How are you to choose a matching male partner after you've been through a negative relationship that because of him ended up with an affair, many lies, and divorce? Well, do your release work, and you are responsible for all the relationships that you have, so why did you attract a person like that in the first place? Look within yourself, and again, the golden altar child within, you need to do that. And the next part of the question, when you are looking for a partner, are you to go by geographical places that match you or by the place of your birth? Well, the geography helps. As I mentioned earlier, when you match the frequency of the area, you will attract people who also match the frequency and then will match you. How do you know that he is the guy for you and that he's the one? Do you just trust him, sense it, or check it in hyperspace, consult with your oversoul? Yeah, all the above. Go to hyperspace, go to oversoul, do your knowing. Remember, it's the knowing that keeps you going. If he's the one, you will know it. It won't be a question in your head. So that's a clue. If you have to ask, it's probably not. This next question here, again, very interesting. Again, I'm going to have to just read it because it's just a little bit much. I am only 16, and I've been deeply crushing on a guy for the past 3 years. I've tried to ignore this crush by dating other guys and making myself like them, but I would dump them after a few months because of no interest and no connection. I try to ignore this crush on him because I'm afraid that what I feel is actually love and not a chicken crush that all the other teen girls in my school have, and we keep on having different guys every week. He stares at me as well, and we are both tense when we look at each other as if we're afraid to admit our feelings or something. We hang out a bit during the summer, and it's quite awkward for both of us for the first few minutes, but later on, we can have fun and interesting conversations with each other. I feel like he reciprocates the feelings, but I don't know exactly because he's dating a girl now, even though I can see he's not happy with her. Should I just give up on him? And if I do, I feel like I will only be cheating myself when I'm with another guy in the future, or should I continue this so-called crush? I mean, it can be pretty tiring and depressing if you keep hoping for something to happen, and you know it would be so very happy finally if it would happen. Well, this sounds like a song from the 1950s. You know, this you're 16 years old, okay? You don't know what love is. I'm very sorry, but it is a crush. And if he's dating someone else, I'm sorry, my dear, he does not feel the same way towards you. So at 16, you really don't know or understand about love. You might have another lifetime with him, maybe, that brings up these feelings, or it could be programming energy. You didn't say how old he was, but teenage guys are fickle and they will hurt you. And so I say do your release work and expand your horizons. You have so much time in front of you to learn about real unconditional love. Okay? So, no, I don't think he's the one for you, my dear. Next question. I had a consultation with Janet just recently, and one of the things that came through was that there was a lot of restrictions on me at the present, as my oversoul wanted me to focus deeply on some issues in order to move forward. I am wondering if that's the reason why I haven't met the one yet. Is it a timing thing? And if not, what can I do to attract the one into my life now? Okay, if there are major issues in your life that need to be corrected, this must happen first. You don't put new furniture in an unfinished room. Once you are in a life position where you can focus on another person without diminishing or neglecting yourself, then you will be ready to have a relationship. And remember what I said, it's better to be alone than to wish you were alone. So I would say to you, yes, do what your oversoul needs you to do. Take care of all your stuff, get rid of all your old junk, and then you'll be prepared for the right person to come in. Next question. Um, well, this one is a little bit personal because they're really talking about something someone said to them. For example, here she said, I was told of a man that will enter my life with whom I had past life association. I was a doctor and he was a soldier that had to have his leg amputated, and he died before the relationship to continue, but we will meet again soon. Is this a crock or what? Well, it sounds like a crock to me because I don't see that in there. And just because you're going to cut someone's leg off doesn't mean it was going to be a love relationship. So the next part really is related to, does this man exist? And the above is true. When will I meet him? Blah, blah, blah. Well, right now, according to the information this lady gave me, you are in a double new beginning frequency. So someone is coming into your life. And she says, how will I recognize him as this person above? Well, don't even think about it because You know what? It doesn't matter who the person was in your life, other lifetimes, incarnations. Who it doesn't matter. It only matters what it is now. Like I say, when you move in this lifetime from house to house to house, you don't go back thinking, oh, will this be the from my kitchen from my first house? It doesn't matter. What's in the kitchen now in your new house? So different personality, might be same energy, different circumstances. Go by that. Okay. Next question here: are there any issues I need to be sensitive to, such as disability, poverty, dishonesty, being controlled due to fear, all of that? Well, are they in your mind pattern? And why would you attract a person that has that? So take inventory of what you fear about in a relationship and remove them from yourself. Because whatever is in you that you don't like, that's what you're going to attract, because you need to face yourself. And the next part: what is the best way for me to attract the perfect mate? Golden altar, like I've been saying, child within, all these things I've been telling you. There's a clue here, all those 7 steps that I gave you earlier. What things about me must change to be suitable for a committed relationship? Well, one thing I will say, and this is personal to her, is that your last name does not match your frequency. So go back to your maiden name. Okay, from the information you gave me, the name you're using now isn't a good match, so you're going to attract people who are not a good match. And I'll just reiterate, it doesn't matter about the other incarnations as long as you correct the issues in this one. And then you will attract many and have to choose. So remember, all you ever need is already within you. It's just a matter with whom you choose to share it. Next question that we have here: how do we attract like-minded people when there are so few of them out there, or people that are open to awareness? Well, if you do your release work, your oversoul communication, and your deprogramming, then your energy will pull in all those who match you perfectly. And there are more out there than you realize. A lot of people are asking the same questions here, and that tells me you're all kind of thinking the same thing. So there's a lot of you out there with the same issues. Um, Here's a very good question, a simple good question, and it is it a fact that we have only one soulmate at all? No, we have many, like branches of the same tree. Now, again, don't confuse soulmates with twin souls and twin flames, or there could even be triplet flame, okay? So, yes, there's many, many possibilities out there. Sometimes a pot has more than one lid. Next question: how do you trust and completely love, give yourself completely to someone after you've experienced it, that a person you've trusted with your life betrayed you, lied to you, and emotionally hurt your kids and family? How do you forgive that person? Well, first, look at your own mind pattern again that attracted this, and you must forgive yourself first. Then you can forgive the others. But if you don't forgive yourself for having that experience and learn from it, you're going to keep repeating it. So, if that person hurt you, and it's a cycle going over and over, and you do your work, you're going to go away from that person. If that person doesn't change, that person needs to be out of your life. Okay? So if you're still hooked to that person in some way who hurt and betrayed you, there's something wrong in you. And you need to look at that and release that so that you can move forward. It's like that old saying again, I'm so miserable without you, it's like having you around. So what's the point of that? Might as well be alone. How do you move on after you've been with the same person since you were 18 years old? Release work, release work. I don't care if you're 100. If that person was not good for you, you need to find the right person. I have clients who are in their 80s and more who are looking for the right one. They're not giving up because you know what? Life is eternal. You are infinite. So don't look at the age. Look at where you are right now and what's in front of you and do your work. Next part of the question, same vein of thought. How do you find a perfect partner at age 42, divorced with 3 kids, and one that is 6 years old and very protective of his mama? Well, 42 is very young. 42 is the new 32, as they say. You are a young person, and you're coming to the end of a series of cycles, so it's time to remove the old junk and clear the slate. Age is irrelevant, and your children will grow up. So if you're going to pick someone
who only is good because your 6-year-old like him, that's a problem for you and whoever you choose. You need to be happy. That 6-year-old is going to grow up, move away, and not ever call you sometimes, and then where are you going to be? So you need to make yourself happy right now, and that little 6-year-old is going to have to learn that if he loves his mama, he's going to have to love whom she loves as well, as long as that person is good to all of you. Next question here. Why is it that in the beginning of a relationship, everything is seemingly wonderful, but 6 months later, due to life circumstances or situations, the person changes into something you truly don't want, but yet it's hard to leave them and usually ends quite nasty? Well, the person didn't change. You did. Your perception changed. That person's probably the same as they've always been, except your experiences have changed your mind pattern. And why hold on to things that are not good for you? It's not hard to leave. It's because you want to hold on to the past. And the only reason it ends in a nasty way is because you're fighting it so hard. Let it go. And something's not good, let it go. And something is hot burning your hand, you drop it. You don't hold on to it. Okay? Next thing, I am in a relationship where I am embarking on self-change using expansions methods, but my significant other has differences of opinions on expansions methods and doesn't want to embark on self-change of any type, expansions or not, and yet still wants to be in a relationship with me. Well, this isn't really a question. I guess you want to know what to do. Um, well, what do you want to do? Here again, uh, it's your choice who you attract and what you do with them. If you're not on the same path with the person who you think is your significant other, then they're not your significant other. So you need to make a decision here. This is holding on to the past again. Um, and I'm just going to go on to another question here. Oh yeah, here. This is a good one. I really like this one from Britain. It says, I have heard that women are pre-wired into finding these alpha male traits attracting that attractive regarding men. For example, women are looking for social proof, well-groomed, protector of their loved ones, confidence, etc. Could you expand? What are your thoughts regarding these traits? Well, that's not always the case because it depends on the mind pattern and the experiences and the genetics. I know a lot of females who purposely seek weak males so they can dominate them. And some of the ones I've read before are looking for daddy figures. So no, they're not looking for well-groomed protectors, alpha male traits. They're looking for quite the opposite out there. Well, maybe it's different in Britain, but according to the what I wrote on my article today, the old British people were cannibals. They used to eat the men. So no, I don't think these traits are valid. I think that's actually kind of a very narrow focus to only want certain traits in alpha males because, it's the alpha males who tend to be abusive in a lot of the situations. So you want something kind of in between the alpha and the weak ones. Okay, you want something that is very decent and kind. Next question. Does everyone on Earth have a twin flame and or twin soul? And how will I know if someone is my twin soul or twin flame? And if we are married to our twin soul or twin flame, can we still get divorced? Well, the answer is yes to all the above. We all have a twin flame, a twin soul, soulmates, but we're not always incarnated at the same time, as I mentioned earlier. Again, there is a knowing. Once, um, once the programming factors have removed, especially, and yes, you can still get divorced. It's not as likely, but you can still get divorced. As I mentioned in that earlier question today, you don't always like each other, even if it is a twin soul and a twin flame. It depends because you still have different experiences, and sometimes you just can't be with each other. I mean, look at Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton. They were married and divorced twice, and they loved each other beyond anything, and they still couldn't be together. Next question. In the chapter entitled Outpicturing and the Hyperspace Helper, you write, what you need most physically outpictures the closest to you. There are times during a challenging conversation with my husband that I experience him as being reactive, resulting in him emotionally retreating or becoming judgmental. Is there a distinction between owning this as my projection out picturing and my witnessing his being triggered by the conversation? This is a gray area for me. Okay, both um, are players here. Um, for example, you're projecting out a need for judgment, and he is responding to the influence based on his filter. So you're projecting something out that you need subconsciously, even though it's not a good thing, and he's giving it to you. So use your relationship archetype card to help connect one to one. Also, here's a good idea when you're talking to your mate like this: connect pineal gland to pineal gland in royal blue, thyroid to thyroid in ice blue for communication, and heart to heart in medium green, and then surround both of you in pale pink. Now that will get the best possible communication and interaction between two people that you can ever imagine. But here again, I will just say, if you think he's becoming judgmental, it's because you're judging yourself beforehand, and he's just filling that role in for you physically. So look at that from within. Here's a very simple question. I haven't spoken to this girl I really like for ages. What advice do you have about aiding me to speak with her again, and how should I go about it? What I just said earlier: put yourself in ice blue for communication, surround that in maroon for courage, and then go talk to her. It'll give you the words to speak and the courage to say them, and you can connect if you wish. But when you're not in a real relationship, I would not connect energetically like I just told the other person. No, just put yourself in ice blue and maroon and let things be as they will be. Next question here. In the past, you've explained how relationships come and go based on your mind pattern and archetypes. What advice do you have to increase relationship wealth in cases where the relationship troubles you, but you cannot end it? For example, it's the parent of your minor child, a dependent family, etc. In other words, a relationship that you really don't like, but you can't break it because of another factor involved that connects you, like a child situation. Well, in this kind of a case, of course, you need to keep your protection energies up. Boundaries need to be set. So you need to have an agreement with this person of what each of your boundaries and rules and regulations are for communication. And your personal integrity must be respected. Otherwise, everybody will be in big trouble with that. Uh, so definitely set the boundaries, talk to the person, and you have to just keep your own integrity. Otherwise, it's just going to be a miserable situation for all of you. Okay, we only have time for a couple more questions here, so let me see. Okay, here's a good one. Okay, I'm situated in a location that isn't compatible to my mind pattern. So, with that in mind, is it possible to attract someone who is right for me, even though my locale isn't the perfect place? I see so many others with partners, and I know that everyone is in their perfect spot. You know that I will not relocate, but what can I do to attract the right relationship? Well, it is more difficult when you do not match the environment in which you live, but it can be done. So you really need to do your release work on the child within. And you know what? Just because you see other people with partners doesn't mean they're happy. You know, people force things just so that they're not alone, but they're miserable in it. What's the point of that? Sometimes if you're alone but in a good spot and you're happy with yourself, you're better off. So if you're not going to relocate and you're in a situation where you do not match the frequency, it's going to be a little bit tough, you know. That's like saying, I'm going to plant a palm tree in Alaska, and will the bumblebees come and fertilize it? Well, not going to happen. So you need to just do your inner work. Um, let me just see here. Let me see if I get a short question in here because we're running out of time, and Janet has some things she wants to say to you. Um, hold on. Oh, here's one that I want to say. My question is about speaking up for myself. I have been dealing with TMJ issues. Anyway, I seem to always attract people that ramble on and on. It is nearly impossible to get a word into them. I try not to get angry when this happens. What can I do? Well, maybe it's you who ramble on, and therefore you're attracting it. You may be the one with the communication issues from your childhood. Why do you need to get a word into them? Why do you? That's part of a control issue, manipulation issue. So you need to look at that within yourself and release that because what the people do that come to you, that's what you're doing. So keep that in mind. Remember, the ones who annoy you the most are the ones who are reflecting the parts of you you don't want to look at.
Well, I would like to thank all of you for joining us this evening. I am suffering from a little bit of a cold, as you can probably tell from my voice, so I was a little bit more silent. But Stewart gave some amazing answers with lots of good information. The 7 steps are fabulous. We will be sending you the link to this teleconference within 24 hours. And I would like to invite all of you to our seminar in April, which is on inner health, outer wealth, because we are going to be giving you tips like these with a lot more of information on how you can take care of your inside, your mind, and how to outpicture that on the outer world. Last month we talked about money. This time we talked about relationships. And there are all kinds of things that are going on in your world that can change when you have inner health. And that's what we are here to share with you. Stewart and I have learned the hard way. We're still learning. We are not perfect. We have lots of changes to go, but we've made a lot of progress. And so we would like to teach by example as best as we can. I want to thank you again so much for joining us. Please visit our website, expansions.com. Sign up for our Inner Health, Outer Wealth seminar. We do have it specially priced for 3 more days only, and this will include, because we feel it is so important, the personalized complex healing type on wealth and prosperity. That is archetypes that we use, that other people have used. It is making a difference in our life. It is making a difference in other people's lives, and it can make a difference in your life. So please go to expansions.com, check out Inner Health, Outer Wealth, and sign up for that seminar in April because it will change your life, believe me. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you here in St. Joseph in April. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I hope I've helped you somewhat. And I look forward to seeing you in April and again on all our teleconferences. Have a good night. Bye.